Hey guys, what's going on? Penny here, and I'm here with a bit of a different kind of vlog sort of thing for you guys. So this vlog will be going out on Saturday, the 7th of November, which is actually my birthday, so woohoo, I'm 21 now as this vlog goes out. So yeah, I'm hitting 21 years old. 21 years old. Now, this YouTube thing I've been doing since I was technically 13, I think. Yeah, like 13, 14 years old. I didn't always do gaming. I did kind of like fan edits and music video-y kind of things with various shows, TV and film and things like that I liked. That was years ago now. God, how time flies. But yeah, I've only been doing gaming for about 4 years? I say only about 4 years. 3? Maybe? God, it's crazy how much time has flown. But I basically remember putting out gaming videos properly, getting into the whole kind of community when I was like 16 or something, and now here I am, 21, final year of uni, going out into the world at some point, not a clue what I'm gonna do with my life. It's pretty crazy. Now, 21 isn't such a big thing here in the UK, because we can drink at like 18, suck it America, we can drink at 18 and things like that. So 21 isn't really such a big thing here. It's more kind of just the, you know, we're used to like 21 being a big thing in the States, and therefore we're kind of like, ooh, 21 here as well. But it really doesn't mean anything in terms of like milestones and things like that. But still, it's kind of a big overall milestone, and I was kind of reflecting on it a bit, and I decided I'd like to do like a vlog or something I wanted to do, so that's why I'm doing this here. Now, I thought it'd be kind of nice. I've got a list here, a list of 21 things that I've learnt in life. Now, this might sound a bit like mumsy, a bit general, a bit kind of, here's advice and you're going to heed to it, but these are kind of, I tried to make them, each of them, personal to me with a little explanation for why I think each one is important and my own personal experiences, whether it's things that I've done wrong and have learned from, or things that I've done right and I'm glad that I did. So I'm just going to dive straight into this. It's going to be a bit of a personal sharing video, but I hope that's okay. I hope that's okay with you guys. You know, I take me by the hand and we can share and go on this magical journey together. Firstly, these are in no particular order, I just kind of wrote them down. I was going to do them in chronological order, but I kind of just wrote them down as I thought of them. So no particular order, but first one, love your siblings. Now, I was an only child for the first 7 years of my life, and then my little baby brother was born, Starrlett, or Robbie, whichever one you want to call him, Robbie, Rockwell, Robert, crazy, all these crazy names, Robbie, Robs, that's his name. I've done a video with him once before, a Minecraft video, a long time ago, back when I was on the Lodestar server. Pipe down out there, yo! Got a vlog here. I did a video with him quite a while ago now, a couple years ago at least. And I'm gonna do a live stream with him at some point, I think, because he's got this like knee operation coming up and he's a bit nervous about it. He just turned 13 this year, which is absolutely mind-boggling. I feel bad for my parents since there's 7 years between us. We, as I left school to go to uni, he started school, so they've kind of had to do everything all over again. But yeah, there's 7 years between us. He's a boy, I'm a girl, so quite different in that regard, I guess. We would get in each other's nerves all the time. We still do, like, not big fights ever, but just kind of little fights, little spats, things like that, you know. He's quite a sensitive little kid, and I'm kind of more of a, I don't know, loud, outgoing, jokey banter person. So sometimes he takes things the wrong way, sometimes I don't really think about his feelings, so we get into little, like, bickering and things like that, and, you know, he goes through a tough time, my little brother, so I do kind of feel bad for all those times we have had those fights. But overall, I'd say that we do have a pretty good, you know, relationship. Like, you know, video games especially, play video games together and things like that. I remember playing Age of Empires with him and my dad. You know, as I get older, I have different interests and he's had different interests and things like that. But overall, I'd say we have a pretty good relationship. But just, you know, love your siblings, because you grow up with them. I mean, this is a generalization, but, you know, you grow up with them your whole life. You live with them for the first bit of your life, the most important developmental stages of your life, and especially if you're an older sibling, you've kind of got to set an example for the younger sibling. You've got to build a strong relationship with them, because then they know what a good, healthy, strong relationship is for when they're older. And, you know, you just got to look out for each other. Siblings are like friends which didn't ask to be friends, but are friends nevertheless, and you got to kind of make the most out of the situation. And even if, you know, your sibling might seem like a horrible, stupid, smelly, stinky person or whatever, there's just, you know, you might have gone off the track at one point, but I think it's important to love your siblings as much as you can. Even if you don't get on at all and you hate your siblings, at least tolerate them, because it makes life a lot easier. So that's my first one. Second one, make homemade cards. This is quite a different one from the last one. Homemade cards. I have started doing homemade cards quite recently, only in the past few years. Occasionally I would make homemade cards if I kind of forgot to buy a card for my family, so it always seemed to me like a cop-out to do a homemade card instead of buying one, because I'd always used to think, why wouldn't you want to buy a card, you know, a really nice, shiny, shop-bought card for your family with a funny joke in it, why wouldn't you want to buy one? But whenever I made homemade cards for my family, especially my parents, they'd absolutely love them and think they were so sweet and how much effort I put into them. I remember doing, like, out of cotton wool, I'd made, like, a snowman and, like, a snowy Christmas tree and things like that for my parents. And one year I cut out big snowflakes and I wrote them, like, just little mini essays inside of them with different words on all the different things of the snowflakes, saying about what I loved about them. And they just really appreciate it. And I think something like a homemade card just makes it that much more special from a store-bought card. I think showing that you put that effort in, whether it's even like a homemade present, a homemade card, homemade baked goods, instead of going out and buying a box of chocolates. I think if you can make things yourself or add your own personal touch to it, then that's a way to give a gift to someone that says, nobody else has this gift, I'm giving this gift to you. Other people might make homemade chocolates for their parents or whatever, but you can give them these and be like, these are the ones that I made. And I think putting that much effort into presents, besides just buying a bouquet of flowers you pick up on the way there, or like a card in the first shop you go into, I think that's a very important thing. At the very least, I like doodling on cards and adding little extra pictures to them. So just adding your own personal touch to thing really makes presents that much more special, and it'll show the people that you care about how much you do actually care about them. Alright, number 3. This is kind of ironic considering me right now, sitting at the computer all day, but get outside. Get outside. Please get outside. I don't care if you hate the sun, I don't care if you hate the cold, I don't care if you hate the insects, I don't care if you're physically weak or anything. Go outside and sit on a chair, go outside and read a book, have a drink, go outside and sit in the shade if you don't like the sun, but go outside and get some fresh air. I loved my childhood. I grew up in the States, for those of you who don't know, in Massachusetts, in a small town called, I don't think it's that small, but called Sudbury. And I was outside all the time, playing with my friends, playing with my neighbours. We'd have all these imaginary games I could go into for hours talking about them. Maybe that'll be a vlog for another day. But we'd go and spend hours playing all these imaginary games outside, whether it was raining, whether it was, you know, sunny, whether it was cold, it was, you know, whether it's snowy, going through a drought, anything like that, windy, we'd be out there playing. And I think it's so important to get outside, and if you're a parent, to get your children outside, because when you're inside you can play with toys and make up these imaginary things, and even games like Minecraft can help you expand your imagination and build things that you never thought you could build before. But outside is just such a huge, vast world which is ready to be explored, and I think it's just incredibly important to go outside and experience it. If you don't have a garden, then, you know, go out to the park with your kids for a bit. I just think it leaves more room for imaginations to expand. And I think it's healthy. I don't think it's important to be inside all the time. Outside you might meet new people, or you might see new things that you never thought existed before. You might get inspiration from a beautiful landscape, or, you know, you go on a hike and you see somewhere magnificent, a beautiful view. I think, you know, inside you know that this is your room and you know every possession in it because it's yours, but outside isn't yours. Outside is everyone's. So you can experience new things, but you can also meet new people. So go outside. Go outside. Number 4, you don't have to get all the guys. Now this can apply to everyone. You don't have to get all the guys, you don't have to get all the girls. You don't have to get all of whoever you are attracted to. I was someone as a kid who was surrounded by quite a few friends who were either constantly having boyfriends or had one or two very steady relationships, and I didn't really I had a sort of boyfriend when I was 13, but at that age, at least for me, because I wasn't really like that into like love, not like proper love, because I was 13. You're 13, what do you know? So I didn't really have my first proper boyfriend until I was 17. I had loads of people I fancied. That makes me sound bad. I had loads of people I fancied. I had people who I fancied, but I never really had a proper steady boyfriend for the longest time, and that made my self-esteem awful, and that made me feel terrible. And that's no offense to any of my friends or anything. Like, I wasn't, obviously I wasn't like, oh, look at them with all those, boyfriends or whatever. But I was incredibly jealous a lot of the time, because I thought, they clearly have something special and I don't have something special. Why did they get to have something special and I don't? I felt like I was missing out on all these amazing relationship things because of, what everyone else was doing around me. And, it really did undermine my self-esteem a lot, and I really did think that there was something wrong with me for the longest time, and I felt like I was just missing out on so much. But whether you have your first boyfriend when you're 12, or when you're 20, or when you're 40, or girlfriend, obviously, this goes to everyone, whenever you have your first partner, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how old you are, because, love and age aren't correspondent with each other. It doesn't matter if you find the one when you're really young or when you're really old. My aunt and uncle met when they were in high school, and they're still together, like years and years down the line. My mum was married before she met my dad, and they met well after that, quite a few years down the line. I know people who have fallen in love and married at the age of 40 and 50. Like, it doesn't matter, when love happens, and you might think you found the one, but then you haven't, and then you might be like, oh, damn it, now what do I do? I'm back at square one. You feel like you have one chance, and if you mess it up, then that's it. Love's done, that's it for me, I've had my chance. But that's not the case, and you don't have to be worried about yourself if you see people around you getting all the others. It's not a problem with you, and don't ever think it is, please, because I did, and that was something which I really, really regret. So yeah, you don't have to get all the guys, you don't have to get all the girls. Concentrate on you and growing you as a person, because if you're young and you've got a boyfriend or girlfriend, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you don't have one, you can really concentrate on yourself and how to make yourself a stronger person. So, yeah. Number 5, this is going to be a really long vlog, by the way, I'm very sorry. Number 5, prove you're responsible. For the longest time, when I was a little madam young Penny, I would go around demanding, I'm responsible. My parents were quite protective, especially of the internet, and until I was like a ridiculous age, like 16, my parents always checked my emails. Like, they'd get a copy of every single email that I got. And my dad had like a special internet blocker, which didn't let me go onto like most websites until I was about 14 or 15. My parents were super, super strict about a lot of that stuff. And, in hindsight, I can still see that they were too strict, but I also understand why they did it. But I would always go demanding, like, I can prove myself, I'm responsible. And I'd always say to my parents, I'm responsible, let me have the internet thing off so I can just go onto whatever website I want to without asking you for the password to be put in every time I want to go to a new website. And they wouldn't let me, just because I asked and I didn't prove that I was responsible. And I think that's a really important thing that people often take for granted. Personally, I'm responsible. It's like someone who has a secret they want to tell someone, and you're like, you can tell me, you can trust me. And it's like, you could say you can trust me, but how are you going to prove that they can trust you? Maybe they can start off by telling you something smaller, and you can prove that you can, keep that a secret or something like that. But you have to prove you're responsible. On a kind of flip note, my parents are very good and very happy with letting me stay home on my own if they were out to the shops, something like that. My mum would be a bit paranoid sometimes, but generally she's pretty happy for me to be left on my own. My brother's a bit less responsible, looking after himself, so he's 13 now. My mum doesn't like leaving him at home for more than a couple of hours, I think, from what I no, because I'm at uni now, so I'm not at home as much. But I was fine being left at home most of the day from when I was 13 or 14, really, just because I was quite independent. And my parents knew that because I was the oldest of about 5 or 6 cousins who are all... My brother is the oldest of all my cousins. He's not my cousin, obviously, but, like, you know, he's 13 and my next youngest cousin is 11, I think. And they all go down to the ages of about 5. And I was always babysitting them and looking after them. My parents saw that I could look after them and, you know, feed them, get them dinner, put them to bed, things like that. So they knew that if I was able to do that with people who weren't me, that I'm able to do it myself. So don't ask for responsibility, instead prove that you're responsible, and it's definitely worth it. Number 6, clubs. Go to clubs. Now, I know that's a thing that I feel like a lot of naggy parents say, you know, oh, make sure you go to a club and make lots of friends. But honestly, clubs... Like, I went to the drama club when I was in high school, and I met so many friends through that and did so many amazing productions that I couldn't imagine a high school life without it. I always got so much excitement every year. And, like, even now, I don't want to be an actress. You know, every year in the drama club I wanted to be in the play and wanted to be the main part so desperately. But I don't want to be an actress right now. I want to be behind the camera. But the drama club helped me kind of develop that, and it also helped me make a lot of friends. At uni now, I am on the Society for the TV Society, and I've met loads of friends through that. I've made so many connections, got amazing opportunities, and I've become so much more confident with my work and the videos that I make. And, like, you know, this doesn't apply to just people who are at uni or at school. Like, I know there's probably quite a few people out of uni who are watching this as well. There's going to be local communities, local clubs, you know, there's fitness clubs or kind of nature clubs or things like that. There's always going to be stuff going on in your community. Even if you feel like you live in a really boring place, if there isn't something going on, make something, and the odds are that other people are going to be like, yes, it's been so boring here, I'm so glad that you decided to found this, you know, ballroom dancing society club or something like that. I think it's so important to try and meet new people, and it's really scary to just sort of go up to people and be like, hello, and introduce yourself. Hello, that's how I introduce myself to people. But I think that a club gives you a mutual ground where you're all there because you've either done this before or you're interested in it, or it's some sort of mutual beneficial thing as to why you're going. So I think clubs are a really good place to meet people, and I think you shouldn't be scared about going to clubs. Worst comes to worst, it's a bit cliquey or a bit awkward, and you just don't go again, and that's it. And, you know, like, not to sound, you know, down-putting or anything, but, like, if you go to a club once and you don't like it, or you think you made a fool of yourself and you don't want to go again, people aren't going to, like, remember you. People aren't going to, like, look around and be like, there she is, that's the girl who came to our club once and then never came back. Like, you know, it's okay to go to something and try it out, and if you don't like it, people aren't going to, like, have a go at you or anything. So go to clubs and attend and try new things. Number 7, keep pictures. Keep pictures. Pictures are wonderful, fantastic things. I have them on my wall there, and I wish I had more, because I don't have enough pictures. If people, look, so many pictures being put online right now, print them out. Print out some pictures. Doesn't take that long, you know, cut them out and just have them there, even if they're just on regular A4 paper and they're not all glossy like, you know, those kind of pictures are. Do it anyway, because it's nice to have physical copies of things you can actually properly browse through and lay out in front of you. And I really regret not having as many pictures as I probably should have. They're all on my computer now, and I'm going to go through at some point, and I'm going to start printing out all of my favourite ones so I can kind of have them all together. So, yeah, take more pictures and just have more pictures. If people have a picture of something you like, ask for a copy of it. Do that. Number 8, keep in touch with people. Now, I moved here to the UK when I was 11, and luckily a couple of years, I emailed a lot of my close friends in America, and then Facebook kind of started becoming a really big thing when I was in year 9, when I was about 13 years old. And so I kept in touch on Facebook. I say kept in touch, I have a lot of my American friends on Facebook, but I've hardly spoken to any of them for ages, and I really need to keep like getting in touch with them again. Internet friends, you know, so many people who I know online, and it's a bit mad trying to get in touch and keeping up to date with everybody because I know so many people. But sometimes people just kind of fall off your radar a bit, and I think it's important to sort of notice when those people do. Every now and then I go through my Skype contact list, sometimes my Twitter list, but my Skype contacts are generally smaller and a bit more manageable, and all of my actual friends generally I have on Skype. If I don't have them on Skype, I probably follow them on Twitter. So between those two lists, I try to, every month or two, go through the list and kind of look and see if there's anyone who I haven't talked to in a while, and just send them a poke and just say hi. I think even if it's just a little catch-up conversation, I think it's important to keep in touch with people. And you're going to be so glad that you have, because these people will be there for you down the line, and you'll realise, maybe you don't realise at the time, but you will later on, just how much those people mean to you. So I think it's important to stay in touch. Number 9, don't believe anything you read, don't believe anything? Don't believe everything you read in books. Now that's quite a weird one. Normally you see that about like newspapers, or about like you don't believe everything you see in films or on the internet or whatever. Books. And this is just because I can think about one particular incident. So I have like, they're called like American Girl books, and they're all about like self-growth and like, now you're going to a big high school, this is what you need to do. And there's like a book about puberty, about the feelings that you feel, and like, you know, emotions that might be higher strung and things like that. And I remember this one section of the book talking about bullying, and it was trying to come across as like, you know, be a really strong, independent girl, don't take stuff from anyone. And it was talking about like, if someone is bullying you or bothering you a bit, then you tell it to them straight. And so I remember this one time in science, like I really took that book to heart. I love that book. And I remember one time I was in science class, and this boy we were doing like a test or something, and this boy was bothering me a bit. He wasn't even bothering me, really. He was just like kind of chatting with his friends, and he might have been cheating or something, and he really wasn't supposed to be because they were doing a test or whatever. And I put my hand straight up in the air and I told the teacher, and I was like, "Miss, you know, they're annoying and cheating, and you should tell them off." And they did tell them off. And like, that's horrible. It's such a snitchy thing to do. And like, I know that people, you know, there's a fine line when people are like, oh, you shouldn't be a snitch, but like, you know, there are kids just having fun and taking it easy. And I basically took this book way too much to heart, and was immediately like, everything, like I was a bit uptight, I guess, at one point, and was like, right, these guys need to get a grip of their lives, and I'm going to tell the teacher immediately. And that was just a bit of a nasty thing for me to do, really. I didn't want to be that person who was known as a snitch or whatever, and I think I got a bit of a, not a reputation, but I think that was like one moment where they were a bit like, whoa, this is a side of you I haven't seen, and that really wasn't a side that I wanted to sort of present. So, you know, there are all these books that are going to be trying to teach you about like, this is what you should do in life, and this is how you should act, and things like that. And that's probably one of the only times I actually really remembered and took something in the book to heart and actually asserted it in life. And it didn't turn out so well. So I would say books can try and claim to be like life helpers all they want, but at the end of the day, don't believe everything you read in books or see in films or read on the internet. I think at the end of the day, it's kind of something you've got to figure out yourself, but just stop and think maybe about the actual scenario and like why you might or might not do that. 10, say sorry. Now, saying sorry is something which I actually have quite a lot of trouble with. Not so much saying sorry, it's more that like, I find it difficult to let go of arguments sometimes, especially if I think that I'm right. And sometimes you just have to step back from arguments and sort of be like, look, you know, I can see we both disagree on this, but if you value the friendship, then you should say, say, I'm sorry, you know, I'm sorry that we got into this argument. You don't have to say, you know, I'm sorry for having opinions, or like, I'm sorry I was wrong if you don't think you're wrong. You know, you don't have to admit that you're wrong if you don't think you are, but I think it's important to say, you know, I'm sorry we had this argument, I got a bit heated there, it's quite a personal matter, can we just maybe move on from this? Friends don't have to agree about everything, and the best friends that you'll have will, you know, you can disagree about something but still have a reasonable conversation about it. But I think it's important to sort of take a step back and be the bigger person and say, I'm sorry that this happened. Number 11, tell your parents your dreams. Now, I kind of chopped and changed a lot. I was always quite an artsy kid, but I chopped and changed a lot between like drama and film and things like that. Because for the first few years of high school, I really wanted to do drama and be an actress, and then I wanted to be a teacher. And my parents were like, you know, my parents were quite academic. My mum was a GP, and my dad's like in business and marketing. So they, I was quite different from what they were kind of expecting me to be, I think. And, you know, my mum and dad were very supportive, thinking that I wanted to go and be an actress, which was silly, and then wanting to be, you know, a drama teacher. For the longest time, it was drama teacher, that's what I wanted to be. And then in about year 9, when I was like 14, I started doing film as a hobby, and then I kind of got more and more into it. And by the time I hit about 16 years old, I was very much into film, and I loved it, and I liked it more than drama, really. And I didn't really tell my parents that. Like, they knew that it was a hobby, but I didn't really explain that much of how much it actually meant to me and how much I really realised I wanted to do film. And I ended up doing drama for A-level and doing like maths as like a smart subject instead of doing something like film, which would have actually probably been more useful to me. And I think I was just scared because I felt like if I just was suddenly like, oh, I want to do this instead, my parents would be like, oh my god, make up your mind, or they wouldn't, you know, support me, or they would think that, you know, oh, it's just a phase or something. And I really wish I'd told them my dreams of what I want to do when I'm older, because they've been supportive with film as well. Like, props to my parents, because I'm a very different kid from them in a lot of ways. But they've been helping me so much with film and getting opportunities and things like that. So I would say, like, tell your parents if you found a new passion or a different passion or just a passion in general. Even now, if you're out of uni and you want to change jobs or something, or you've got like a new hobby or whatever, tell your parents about it, share it with them, because, you know, they created you and they want to know what you've been up to and they want to know what you like. And I think it's really special for them when you share with them your personal dreams and things like that. Number 12, tell people you love them. Now that's just, it's something that everyone says, but I think it's so important to tell people that you love them, whether it's your family that you love, whether it's a significant other that you love, whether it's your friends that you love, because you can love your friends as well. And saying I love you to friends is not really something I do. Like, I don't actually, you know, go up to a friend and be like, oh, I love you. But I think it's important, even if you, just to show people that you love them without saying the actual words. Whether now and then you just say to your friend, you know, I'm really thankful for having you in my life, or I'm really glad you're here, or you really helped me out of a rough patch a while back, and I don't think I ever told you how much it means to me that you're still here now. So I think it's important to just show and tell people fairly regularly that you love them, even if you don't say the actual words, I love you. Number 13, don't give mixed signals. That's something which I do a lot. I'm awful at talking about my emotions and showing my emotions, and I'm great at hiding them and repressing things and just leaving things to stew forever and ever, and I never come back to them, and it's cool and no one will ever find out. And then people ask me like, oh, you seem really upset by this, and I'm really upset, but I say, no, I'm fine, no, nothing wrong at all. And like, especially if people can pick it out that you're upset about something, like, give them the courtesy of telling them what's wrong. There's nothing wrong with there being something wrong. If you have a problem with what someone said, you know, I think you could do them the courtesy of telling them, because then maybe they realise, oh god, I've done something wrong there, I can't do it again. I have this friend, and when we were about 15 or 16, she suddenly came out to me one day, she came up to me one day, and basically she like had left me this long, and she didn't come up to me actually, she left me this long message on Facebook talking about how I've not been a good friend to her. And at first I was like outraged, like, you know, you send me a sneaky message on Facebook talking about this, what are you know, that, how uncool is that, you're just like bitching about me. But, you know, I really kind of thought about it a lot, and I realised that actually she has a lot of points, and like I hadn't been purposely nasty with her, but there were just like occasional times where I kind of cut her down without realising, or like just pushed her aside without really thinking about her feelings. And like, you know, that was really horrible of me. And, you know, a lot of people say, oh, Penny, you're such a good person, you're so nice, you're always so considerate for people, and like, everybody can have, you know, times where they're not nice, and I've definitely had my fair share of them, my god I have. And this is one of those moments where I'd realised I'd been a really awful friend to this girl, and, you know, basically if I didn't do something to fix this, then our friendship would have been gone. And maybe it isn't as strong as it used to be, but we've kind of grown apart just generally with different friends and stuff anyway, but we're still pretty close friends now. Like, I went to, you know, Europe with her, and like, you know, I'm so glad that she told me, even if it wasn't the best way to do it by just sending a Facebook message, because face-to-face is a lot easier for communication. But I'm really, really glad that she told me, because it got me to think a lot about me as a person and how I can cut people down sometimes without realising it. And, you know, I really hate when I do that, and I really try to catch myself out on it. So I think it's important to not just sort of pretend things are okay and send mixed signals. I think you need to tell people when you have a problem. You don't have to shout at them. You don't have to be like, oi, you know, you've been a real cow to me and I hate you. It'd be more just like, look, you've said these things and they've actually quite upset me, and can we work this out, please? Because chances are that person, unless they're a really horrible person, in which case you won't want them to be your friend anyway, so therefore you should call them out on it. The chances are, if they are a good friend, then they'll be like, I didn't realise, I'm really sorry, I really want to work on this. And hopefully they will work on it, and hopefully you guys will both improve and grow together even more. Number 14, don't throw out old toys and books. I'm not saying hoard everything, but my mum's a bit of a, not a hoarder, she's not a hoarder, but she's very bad at throwing things away. She always thinks, oh, but what if it's useful for this, or what if you want it for that? But I'm kind of glad, because I have a lot of my old toys and books, and occasionally I personally just love going back through them and remembering all the memories, and it's really nice. But I think it's also important to keep a lot of the old stuff that you have, even if it sits in a box in the attic for 10 years or 20 years, because one day you're going to think about, oh, remember that book series I loved, what was it called? And you won't remember the name, and you won't have the books anywhere, and, you know, you might want to read them again, or just have a quick look over them, and you can't. Or, you know, you might think about, oh, this is, you know, years down the line, I might be like, oh, this is my, you know, son, and he'd really love this, you know, cuddly toy that I used to have, and I want to share it with him, and then you've realised you've thrown it away and you don't have it anymore. My mum loves going through all her old books with me, like the Enid Blyton books and things like that. She had these old dolls. My dad had his old Action Men. I didn't have any Ken dolls as a kid, I just had Barbies. My dad gave me his Action Men, so I had the guys as well. And, like, you know, just having bits from your childhood to share with your children or your family, which are, like, younger generations than you, or even just for yourself to just have a bit of personal reflection. I think it's a really important thing, at least to keep some of the stuff back from your childhood so you can remember it when you're older. Number 15, don't try to document everything. So I know I said a little while back about taking pictures is important and good, but don't make that the focus. Please don't document everything. And I know I'm a really bad person to talk about this, because I'm, like, taking pictures of everything every day and things like that, but, like, I think this is especially something I noticed at Minecon. So many people were, like, wanting to vlog the whole weekend experience. And that's cool and all if you want to make vlogs and it's, like, for YouTube and stuff, and I get it. But at the same time, I was just looking around and thinking, I am so glad that I don't want to do this, I don't have to do this. I was thinking about vlogging Minecon. And, you know, I'm so glad I chose not to, because I actually really got to enjoy it. And I think the pressure of having to film everything and having a camera in front of you the whole time. And, like, I know people always say, you know, they're genuine and stuff when they're in front of the camera, and, like, I try to be as genuine as I can be. Like, I feel like this is just me talking at you like a friend or something right now, or on the phone with someone. But when you're in front of a camera, you're still a little bit more, you know, haha, I'm happy, blah, blah, blah. And, like, there's always going to be drama behind the scenes at these things, and if you're in front of a camera, you can't deal with that. So I feel like you're still kind of putting on a bit of a front and a bit of a happy face. And I think that's just exhausting. And I think, why would you want to be, you know, a fake, smiley, there's nothing happening here version of yourself on camera all the time? Why don't you just put down the camera and actually enjoy what's going on? Like, you know, yeah, your viewers will appreciate a vlog and maybe you'll get views and a bit of money out of it, but, like, you know, that's nothing compared to actually just soaking in the entire weekend, enjoying it. And I'm so glad that I managed to do that, because there were so many people who I met and, you know, I'm really good friends with now, and I feel like I wouldn't have had nearly the same experience if I was filming and taking pictures the whole time. Like, it was one of the best weekends of my life, and yeah, I'm really happy that I didn't spend the whole time trying to document everything and trying to take pictures of everything, because, yeah, you can show on Twitter and on YouTube, look at all the fun stuff I did, but, you know, the fun stuff that you did would be 10 times funner if you didn't do it, and I think that's always more important than putting out a video to YouTube. Number 16, get a job. Again, another parental kind of thing. Get a job! This is for my younger viewers, I guess, if you're watching and you're, like, between the ages of, I don't know, 12, 13 to, like, 18, get a job before you go out into the big world. I didn't have much of a job, but I was a cleaner, which was a job that they hired through the school. They just hired students to clean the school. We just did, like, sweeping and cleaning tables and stacking chairs and hoovering and things like that. But it was still a job, and it was still something that I had to, you know, again, this kind of goes back to proving responsibility. It was my own money that I was earning that I could spend on what I wanted. It was, you know, learning to balance my studies with this work, which, again, I didn't work that many hours a week, so it's just a part-time kind of thing. But I think, you know, it's scary getting a job, and you think, but what about all this free time that I want? What am I going to do with it? And I'll tell you something. You know, right now you might think, oh god, I have no free time at all as, like, a younger kid or whatever. You are going to really know what it's like to not have free time when you're older, and a lot of that free time is going to be taken up by desperately trying to get jobs if you haven't already got that foundation when you're younger. So even if it's just in a corner shop, even if it's just being a cleaner for a bit, even if it's just babysitting, I think it's important to at least get some sort of part-time job, because it helps you teach responsibility, it helps with money, and it's just a good thing to have. I think it's a good experience to go through working with people who you might not necessarily like but have to put up with anyway. So get a job. 17, it's okay not to be happy. Now, I'm not going to go into this too much, but if you guys have been around for a good year or so now, you'll know that last January I fell into like a really deep pit of, I don't want to say depression, because I don't know if it was depression, because it's not like a constant thing necessarily, but like, it was like a depressive episode, I guess, is what the best way to describe it as, which lasted from about, I was a bit off, honestly, and it was probably due to the pill that I was on, but I was a bit off from about November through to March, maybe, but the most intense months was definitely January and, like, partway through February, and I felt broken, and I felt like something was wrong with me, and taking beta blockers to deal with, like, anxiety and stuff that I felt, like, that was all stuff which I felt like a useless human being. I was like, why can't I just function as a normal person? Why am I not normal? Why am I not me anymore? And, you know, I had to accept that it's okay not to feel happy all the time, and it's okay to get help for that. And it doesn't mean you're a broken human being, it just means you deal with things in a different way. I remember thinking for the longest time, I just want to be me again. That was the thing that I think I constantly tweeted and constantly said to everyone who I talked to about it. I said, I just want to be me again. And the me that I had in mind was the me back, you know, last year, back before I started going downhill in, like, November time. The me was, you know, first year of uni Penny and summer uni Penny and, you know, 18, 19-year-old Penny. And I realised that I couldn't get the old me back. I mean, you never really can. Even if I didn't have this depressive episode, year by year you always change because of the people and things that happen around you. And I think that it's important to not focus on the past you if you want to get yourself back, but to focus on the present you and think, this is where I am now, I want to get me back, but you've got to kind of form a new you, and change isn't a bad thing, and I think it's made me a lot stronger, and I'm really happy with who I am right now, generally speaking, possibly even happier than before all of this happened. So, you know, it was the worst month or two of my life, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad that it happened in a weird way, because it helped me to realise that it's okay to not be happy all the time, and you don't have to hide it if you're not happy. You can get help, you can talk to people, and people will always be there to support you. So yeah, it's not, you don't have to be happy all the time. 18, ask how your friends are. Now this is just a quick one, but just ask. This is kind of going alongside keeping in touch, you know? Like, don't just be like, hi, how are you, kind of thing. Like, actually ask, like, how are you? How are you doing? The kind of how are you where your friend won't feel obliged to give, like, a 1 or 2 word answer. If someone's like, you're right to me, or like, oh, how are you? Generally, you just respond with, I'm good, I'm cool, busy, tired, you know, just like 1 or 2 word answers. But make sure to leave room to actually ask the friend, how are you? And hopefully they'll realise that they can give more than just a 1 or 2 word answer. And if they just give a 1 or 2 word answer, then just let them know. If you want to talk about something, or, you know, oh, I want to know what you've been up to, open it up a bit more. Be like, how's work been? You know, how have the kids been? You know, how's the city doing? You know, oh, what about those renovations in your house? How are they coming along? Just open up the conversation and really show that you care about what's going on with them, and just, yeah, just ask them how they are. 19, don't rate each other. This is another personal experience, actually, when I was around a friends for a sleepover back in, when I was like 14, 15. And my friends had a really wonderful idea of rating each other, where basically you'd have the different categories. So you'd have, like, overall body weight, you'd have, like, face, eyes, nose, mouth, hair, things like that. And you'd rate each other in secret, and then you pass the paper along, and then the next person would write something. So there were like 5 of us, so you'd have 4 different scores for each section that you'd open the paper out. You wouldn't know who rated what for each section. And it was horrible. It was like, why did we do that? It was supposed to be like a fun activity friendship thing, but it was just absolutely awful, and like really self-esteem lowering, because I knew I was pretty plain fish with all my other friends, and, you know, like, I wasn't very pretty. I never really, I say I wasn't very pretty because I didn't do makeup, and not to say that makeup doesn't make you pretty, like, you know, makeup is just a side thing, but, like, at the time I felt like, you know, I'm not pretty, I hardly know anything about makeup, and look at all these, you know, girls around me. I was quite, you know, not fat, because I'm fatter now than I was when I was younger, but like I wasn't a tall, thin, blonde beauty. I was a short, kind of curvy, you know, brunette, and you know, at the time, like, I was like, curvy is bad. I had to be skinny. I had to be skinny because you're only pretty if you're skinny, right? So that was absolutely horrible. And like, I remember one of the girls, she had amazing hair, amazing long curly blonde hair, and I gave her a 9 out of 10 for it, which I thought was really nice. I didn't give anyone a 10 out of 10 for everything, purely because I was like, thinking 10 out of 10 is perfection, and I'm one of those people who doesn't believe in perfection. So like, you know, 9s for a lot of things, but never a 10. And this girl called me out on it because everyone else gave her a 10. She was like, who gave me this 9? And so I told, you know, I had to say something, so everyone else was like, no, I got a 10. So I told her, and she was like, why? And I was like, oh my god, like, you know, why would you even do that or ask that? And like, it was a horrible exercise. So don't go rating your friends. Don't go asking, oh, who do you think's the best looking out of our whole group? Like, no, that's not cool. And that makes people feel awful. So please don't do that. If you respect your friends and respect yourself, don't do a rating thing. If your friends want to do a rating thing, then just opt out of it. Please opt out of it, because it's never good for anyone. You either get some sort of, you might get a self-esteem boost, which is kind of cool, but you can get that by just talking to your friends and finding out how cool they think you are, instead of having to do a stupid rating system. So don't do it. Please don't do it. 20. Learn to live by yourself. That's the thing that I learnt last year at uni as well. Like, my whole life I've been surrounded by people, surrounded by family. The hardest thing about going to uni is saying goodbye to my family, because I'm so used to them being around all the time. And my mum and I are like sisters. We do so much together, you know, watching TV and things like that. So it's always really, really sad when I have to say goodbye to them. And I was very used to having lots of people around me, you know, having friends at home and things like that. I lived in the centre of my town, so there's always so much going on, and then coming to uni, and like, especially second year, first year was halls, and there were loads of people around, but second year I was in a house with just a few other housemates, and it was like a really lonely time, I thought, for me, because I was living quite on my own and independently, because everyone was doing their own thing, but I kind of got to realise that it's okay to sort of do your own thing each day. Sometimes the only company you might have in a day is you, and that's okay. You can do whatever you want during that day. You can get chores done. My god, so much laundry to get done. So it's okay to be by yourself a bit, and I think it's important to learn to live by yourself, because even if you're one of those people who's like a big partier, sociable person who's, you know, always hanging out with your friends every day of the year, sometime in your life you're going to have to learn to be by yourself at least a little bit, and I think it's important to learn that quite early on. But if you still haven't learnt it yet, I think it's an important thing to do. So learn to be by yourself and learn to live by yourself. And finally, the last one, don't peer pressure, which I've touched upon a bit on a few of these topics, I think, but don't peer pressure. If your friends are like, let's get completely wasted and do this, and you don't want to, don't do it. If your friends are, you know, cigarette, let's have a smoke, and you don't want to do it, don't do it. It's as simple as that, because the thing is, a lot of people are like, oh, but my friends won't like me if, you know, what if my friends don't like me if I don't smoke this cigarette? What kind of friends are they if they don't like you as a person because of one thing which you choose not to like? It's like, I love the colour blue a lot. You can tell by all the blue everywhere. I love the colour blue. And my friend likes the colour green. Oh, I don't like them anymore. They're not my friend because they don't like the colour blue. Like, that's not cool. Don't let people judge you by what you do and don't like. If you don't want to smoke, then that's cool. Don't smoke. You know, if all of your friends call you out on it and say you're a loser because you don't smoke, what kind of friends are they? You don't want those people in your life. Trust me. You don't want them in your life at all. And it's honestly better to be alone than it is to have those kind of toxic people in your life, which are going to turn you into a toxic person as well. So don't give in to peer pressure. Don't give in to peer pressure. And hence don't listen to anything I've just told you in this video because it's peer pressure. No, but seriously, if your friends are real friends, then they will understand. They'll be like, it's cool, you don't have to drink, or it's fine, you don't have to have a smoke. And that's fine as well. And if they really are your genuine friends and good people, then they will be totally cool with it. So yeah, don't give in to peer pressure. And that's it. That was a very long video. I'm sorry. That's been that's been a very long video. I'm sorry about that. There's quite a few things to get through. Obviously, I've learned other things in life, like how to add 1 + 1 and like geography and, you know, stuff like that. How to say parlez-vous français or whatever. But those are just a few things which I've learnt in life, which I kind of wanted to share with you guys. And if you've made it through this whole video, then like, congrats, well done. That's a lot of content. Yeah, I think that's it from me. Happy birthday to me, woohoo. 21 now, guys. Big adult things I'm gonna have to do now. But yeah, that's it from me. I hope you guys have a lovely evening. I'm away for this weekend, but I will be back, and I'll be back to streaming and loving you guys very shortly. But thank you guys for watching. Hearts and butt hearts to you all. Bye.